Welcome back, toy fans, to episode 177 of Ronald's Reviews. And on today's episode, we're finally back on the vintage Star Wars trail. Cue the march. Welcome back, everyone. Now, like I said in the intro, today we are finally back on the vintage Star Wars trail. Now, it seems so long since I've done a video on anything vintage Star Wars, so it's really nice to get back to Star Wars this week. Now, somebody that you may know, I've mentioned him a lot on the channel, Steve, better known as Derby Collector. He tends to put packages together for me. He puts things to one side and creates bundles for me, things that he knows that I'm looking for, and then once the bundle is ready, we arrange a price and he sends them to me. And I finally managed to pay him once payday hit, and this week the parcel has arrived. So let's go see what vintage goodness we've got today. Alright folks, here we go. So as you can see, we've got some of the things on the table from the parcel that Steve sent. Now this actually isn't everything. There was a few more things in the parcel that I've removed and put to one side because you will see them in coming videos in the next few weeks. So I've put them to one side. You won't see them today, but I know what all these are. But I don't know what this is. Now I wasn't expecting this. So this says, Luke, Brucey bonus time. Sadly no speedboat, but the next best thing. So I don't know what that is. So we're going to leave that till last. But I do know what these are, so let's get them opened and take a look. Now the thumbnail probably gave a few of them away. So first up, we've got the Imperial Gunner. So last 17, if you know me and you watch the channel closer, you will know that I'm only 6 figures into the last 17. I need 11 more, so this is one more down. And I think you can probably see this one through the bubble wrap. And we've got Amanaman, or Banana Man, as me and Steve like to call him. I just love the fact that he's just not really in keeping with any of the other figures, isn't he? But we've got Amanaman. Let's open the next one. And we've got General Lando Calrissian. Okay, what's in this one? So as you can see, I'm on a last 17 binge. We've got Barada, and he's complete with his staff as well. Awesome. We've got 2 more. Now this is not last 17, but I think Steve has thrown this in. There we go, look. Of course, you've got to throw in a Luke Bespin. Awesome. Cheers, Steve. He will go into the Luke Bespin army. And then we've got one more. Nobody's favourite, we've got the Imperial Dignitary. But, like I said, I know they were coming, but I don't know what's in here. So let's get this opened up. Oh, no way. Oh, Steve tends to do this, folks. I had no idea this was coming, but look at what he's sent me. He's sent me an A-Wing pilot. Wow. Oh, Steve, man. And so lucky because I missed out on one of these only a few nights ago. So good job I didn't get it in the end. Awesome. Okay, let's get everything on the table and we'll take a closer look. Okay, folks, so we're going to start with the item that I didn't know was coming, which is a gift from Steve, which is the A-Wing pilot. Now, this is a figure that I needed. I missed out on one narrowly only the other night on eBay, so I was cursing my luck. But then, of course, Steve once again comes to my rescue and sends me one. Now, as you can see, now I've spoke to Steve since unboxing this just to thank him for sending this, and he said to me, look, you know, I know it's not in the best condition. If you want to use it as a placeholder, you can, and then if you want to get a better condition one at a later date, that's absolutely fine. But I'll tell you here and now, Steve, I have to collect in corners to my budget, and I am not in the market to buy minty fresh figures. I can't afford to do that. My budget only allows me to get figures that are in sort of mediocre condition and things like that. And this, I am quite happy. You know, as far as I'm concerned, this is the A-Wing pilot that is going to go into my collection. For one reason. Now, yes, I can jump onto eBay and I can get a nicer figure, or I can go onto the Facebook groups and get a better condition one. But the thing is, that wouldn't mean as much to me. Buying a better figure off some Johnny Nobody wouldn't mean anything to me. Even though this guy isn't in the greatest condition, this will be staying into my collection because this is a gift from a pal. So every time I look at this figure, it means something. So yes, I could get a better one, but it wouldn't mean as much. So because this was a gift from you, mate, this is going to stay in my collection. This is my A-Wing pilot as far as I'm concerned, and I'm so pleased with him. I mean, as you can see, obviously he's got nose rub, which is pretty standard for most of these figures. Paint missing on his hands, on his boots. He's got some sort of fading with his colour because his torso looks a different green to his arms and his legs. But again, I don't mind because this was a gift from my friend. So this is going to stay in my collection. I'm going to get him a blaster, give him a good scrub and a clean, and then I will be quite happy to have him in my collection. Because like I said, at the end of the day, this is a gift from my friend, and it is a figure that I need. So I am really pleased to get him. So that is one more last 17 figure down. So that takes me to 7, 10 remaining, but I am on the hunt. So Steve, thank you, man. I love this guy, regardless of his condition. I don't care about that. This will be the A-Wing pilot that stays in my collection. So thank you so much, man. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, folks, and now we get to the Imperial Dignitary, nobody's favourite figure ever, and it still baffles me to this day why they released this figure. But if you want to complete the 96, you've got to get him. He came with no accessories, and I just don't know why they did it. There's so many other figures that we could have had. Grand Moff Tarkin, we could have had Wedge, we could have had Dak. You know, it's just so many figures that were never produced in the vintage line that we could have had in front of this guy. But, like I said, if you want to complete the 96, you've got to have the Imperial Dignitary. And this guy actually is in pretty good shape. Now, obviously, you can see he's got a bit of discoloration on his torso, but his arms and legs are fine. And obviously a tiny bit of nose rub, which is pretty standard for this figure. But other than that, this guy's in great shape. And again, if you're going to complete the line, you've got to buy him, unfortunately. Sometimes it sticks in your throat, paying large sums of money for figures that you just don't find attractive and that you don't really want in your collection. But like I said, you know, Steve gave me these at an absolute snip. You know, I was quite happy to part with money for the price he gave me. It was absolutely stupid. But yeah, so Imperial Dignitary, we're not going to take too long on him because there's no point because he's a bit rubbish, isn't he? So but got to have him in your collection. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so now we're moving on to General Lando Calrissian, and I've got to admit, I love this figure. Now, Steve was up front with me right from the get-go. He said the cape is repro, which you'll be able to spot that anyway, but I did have a blaster for him, which is nice. Obviously, as you can see, he's missing a little bit of paint on his hair, and his torso, I think he's just starting to discolour, but at some point I will swap out that cape for an original one. But again, another last 17 figure down, and really pleased to get him. Like I said earlier, the hair is not a problem for me. I've got to collect in accordance to my budget, so I never expect to get these figures in minty condition. But he's still a very, very cool looking figure, and he will go awesome into my collection. Like I said, I will swap out that cape at some point. But other than that, I don't think he's in bad shape. I can live with the paint missing on his hair. Like I say, his torso is just starting to go, but you can't really tell. I've got a blaster for him. So, yeah, once I get a cape, he will look lovely. And again, that is another figure down in the last 17. Really pleased to knock off a few of these in one go. It really makes me feel like I'm making progress. Rather than just getting one here and one there, it's nice to knock quite a few off in one hit. So, General Lando Calrissian is the next one into the collection, and I'm very, very pleased with him. So, yeah, okay. Moving on to the next one. Okay, and next we have got the Imperial Gunner, and I absolutely love this guy. And you know what? This figure is in great shape. He's in really good condition. Now, pretty standard. The Empire badges on his arms are starting to rub. That was not in bad shape, but that's pretty standard. But his visor, the red on his visor, is looking really nice. And the condition of this guy overall is really, really good. I'm really pleased with him. And yeah, this is one of the figures. Again, I've been trying to get into my collection, but there's always someone with deeper pockets on eBay and on Facebook. Like I said, I've got to try and get these at really cheap prices, and luckily Steve gave me a brilliant bundle price, and thank God this guy was in there because he is wicked. Now, I've got no blaster for him. I will pick up a blaster at some point just to complete him, but again, what I'm trying to do, I can't always afford to buy these items complete, so when I can, I do. But I'm quite happy to buy them incomplete without any accessories, because in my head, I just want to get the figures in, and then I can complete them with the weapons and accessories at a later date. In my head, I just get the figures, finish the 96, and then I can spend all the time in the world picking up accessories and things like that, and that is the idea behind this. So, really pleased to get the Imperial Gunner into my last 17 collection, and we are one figure closer to the 96. Okay, let's look and see who we've got next. Okay, and the next one is Barada, and this is probably the one I am most pleased with, because One is in really good condition. There is obviously a tiny bit of paint missing from his hands, but the rest of him is in really good nick, and as you can see, he's got his vibro staff, so he is complete. So very, very pleased to get Barada. I'm very pleased that I don't have to do anything with him because he's in good shape and he's complete with his weapon. So that is another one down, but look how good he looks. Now, I've always been a bit sort of intrigued by his attire because he's not really in keeping with a lot of the other Jabba's goons, you know. They're all in sort of beiges and browns and dark greens. And then you've got Barada, who looks like he's got into Prince's wardrobe. With his sort of maroon trousers and his sort of pale lemon yellow vest top, and I just think he always looks a little bit out of place, I think, but cool nevertheless. I'm very, very pleased to get him into my collection. So that is another figure down in the last 17, and he will actually go very nice on my vintage collection skiff. I might put him on there, just put him behind Luke, getting ready to go into the Sarlacc pit. He will look very cool. So yeah, thanks again, Steve. He's awesome, and so happy he's complete. Okay, moving on to the final last 17 figure. And finally, we have got Amanaman, and I've got to admit, again, another figure that I was been struggling to get into my collection. I do see him without the staff here and there for relatively good prices, you know, sometimes under £100. But I managed to get this guy off Steve, again, for a complete snip, and luckily, I already had an original staff in my collection, so he's complete as well. But man, trying to get this guy to stand with that staff, with it looking some sort of natural, so, you know, just with him stood, with him holding it, to look kind of natural and get it balanced right, is a bloody nightmare. So jump in the comments if you know if I can get him to hold this any better, because that is just sat in there, and the second I touch that, that will fall. But trying to get him to sort of somehow stand and hold it so it looks natural, bloody hell, it was a nightmare. So if there's any way I can get him to hold that better, jump in the comments and let me know. But very glad to get him, and I kind of like Amanaman because I like his colours, but I kind of like the fact that he's just not in keeping in any way with all the other figures. Looks so different, looks so unique, and stands out quite a lot. So really pleased to get him. He is in good condition. I'm not going to touch him because I think the second I move him, he will drop that staff. But very, very pleased to get one more last 17 figure into my collection. And can you believe, in one fell swoop, I've doubled my collection. So I've gone from 6 to 12, and I'm really pleased. So, okay, let's move on to the final figure. And of course, folks, last but certainly not least, Steve was very, very nice and chucked in a Luke Bespin. So again, I did get a blaster with him, but of course I've always got yellow lightsabers on standby as well, just in case I get any Luke Bespins. But this guy is lovely. He's in really good condition. And again, you know, I'm just going to show him on screen like we've done all the others, because why not? It's Luke Bespin. We know I've got loads of them, but let's just show him like we've shown all the rest, because he's beautiful. And I'll also chuck on screen my favourite card back for Luke Bespin as well. But this guy is awesome. So once again, thank you, Steve. Well, thank you for everything, but thank you for Luke Bespin. He will go into my Luke Bespin army, take his place on the Luke Bespin shelf, and he's going to fit in lovely. So yeah, thank you very much, my friend. Okay, let's get everything back on the table and we'll wrap up. So there we go, folks, everything back on the table, and I think you'll agree I've done pretty well. In one fell swoop, in one haul, I have doubled my last 17 collection. I've gone from 6 to 12 in one fell swoop, and I'm so pleased. You know, it really makes me feel and gives me the belief that I can complete this line. I was starting to doubt whether I would do it, but of course, if anyone was going to reassure me, Steve has done me a great deal and really got me back on track now. I know I've still got some big hitters to get. The two Ewoks I've got left are going for big money now, Warrock and Rumba. I know they're going for big money. And then, of course, you get to people like EV9D9. She will be difficult to get because every time I see one, there's limbs broken or something like that. If you can get one intact, it's going to be big money. And then, of course, we've got R2 with the pop-up saber and Yak Face, which we know that I'm going to be well into the hundreds for those. So don't get me wrong, patience is key. I've managed to get these 6 into my collection for a very, very, very good price. So why not the rest? You know, who knows? Of course, I have still got some accessories to get. The A-Wing pilot Imperial Gunner need their blasters. I need a new cape for Lando. But probably most notably, I do need a carbonite block for Han Solo, which I know will cost me a few quid as well. But again, I'm just concentrating on the figures. So that is 12 figures down, 5 to go, and that will be the 96 complete. So I am getting there, people. But yeah, there we go. I just want to say another massive thank you to Steve. Derby Collector, I couldn't have done it without you, mate. Honestly, I really don't know how you keep doing it, pal, but thank you so much. The help never, ever, ever goes unappreciated. Yeah, thank you, man. So yeah, there we go, folks. Hope you enjoyed that. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by and giving me a shot. I hope you'll consider leaving a like and subscribing. And if you're one of my existing viewers and existing subscribers, thanks for sticking with me, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Leave any comments or questions in the comment section below. I always try to read everyone's comments and get back to everybody. And as always, keep collecting. I'll see you next time.